I got into sports at a very, very early age, like 3, 4, 5. My brother was 14 months younger than I. So we just did the stuff together back in the early 50s. You didn't have any really designated programs for women at that time, but my dad had given me a basketball for Christmas. I think I was 2, and my mom had bought me a doll. And rumor has it that I picked up the doll, looked at it, put it aside, and took the basketball and went off. I had what my mother called God-given athletic talent, so it didn't make any difference what I picked up. I was really good at it. And I worked really, really hard, right? You can take your gifts for granted, but my mom and dad both never closed the door for my brother and I. For me, that didn't pan out when I was growing up because girls couldn't play on team sports. So I could go to my brother's team and practice, but when game time came, I couldn't put the uniform on. And I didn't quite understand why I couldn't play.
For decades, limits were drawn for us in playbooks, scorebooks, and rulebooks. They drew lines we were told not to cross. They wanted us in a box. To fit the mold they made for us long before we stepped onto the field. But history isn't made by those who stay between the lines. The future of sports is built by those bold enough to push harder, run faster, dig deeper. Because greatness isn't found within those lines. It lies beyond them.
We moved from New Jersey when I was like 7 years old, and my mom was like, oh, it's Michigan, everyone skates in Michigan, we should like sign you up for like a little learn to skate class. And then I just never stopped. So I did synchro. You're skating with a group of at least 8 people, and you're forming things like lines, circles, intersections, which is where you skate through each other. The whole thing is it's kind of like optical illusions with people, and it's, I don't know, I think it's awesome.
My parents played sports growing up. My family is really big on sports, so really just when I was young, just throwing me into like any sport you can think of when I was younger. So I was kind of like, you know what, let's do basketball, and I just stuck with basketball ever since.
The first sport I ever played was basketball. I fell in love with basketball as soon as I could walk. I started playing field hockey my 7th grade year. So it was a little bit short, compared to other girls who played field hockey. I haven't been playing that long. So that's something that's really fun and keeps me going, is the team aspect of things.
When I was younger, I played a lot of different sports because I think most kids do, like t-ball and soccer and everything. But then when I started looking for a sport to actually like commit to. My sister was in volleyball and I was always at her games, so I think it was just kind of natural for me to try that, and then once I did, I really enjoyed it.
My name is Tatyana McFadden. I am a 20-time Paralympic medalist, and I'm a 24-time major marathon winner, winning Boston, London, Chicago, and New York. For me, I didn't have a typical childhood growing up. I was born in St. Petersburg, Russia, and I was born with spina bifida. So that's where you have a hole in your back and your spinal column sticks out. And usually you get surgery immediately after birth, but for me, that wasn't the case. I was in a hospital for 21 days with an open back, and so it was a miracle that I survived through those conditions. And shortly after that, I was put into orphanage number 13. I've never went to the doctors, no medical treatment, and so therefore I didn't have a wheelchair. And so how I got around the orphanage was just scooting or crawling or walking on my hands. And I did that for 6 years until the 6th year changed my life drastically. And that's when my mom happened to walk through the door. Before I knew it, I was on the plane to the US. And so many first things happened. I mean, I had several surgeries growing up because being born with my disability and not having any medical treatment, my legs were atrophied behind my back, and so therefore I needed surgery to straighten them out. And so after all my surgeries, I joined a local para sports program in Baltimore called the Bennett Blazers. My mom did a lot of research online to find, a place where I could do sports. She knew, like, in our neighborhood of kids growing up, that every kid joined sports and they made friends, they got healthier. Through that sports program, the Bennett Blazers, when I went, I did several sports. I did ice hockey, swimming, downhill skiing, wheelchair basketball, and table tennis. And track was something that I just really fell in love with. I don't know if it was the need for speed as a young kid, but I just really, really loved it. I was not only getting physically stronger, but mentally I could believe that I could become anything that I wanted to be. When I was finishing up 8th grade, it was around the time of the 2004 Olympics. And by that time, I was like obsessed with track and field. I told my parents, it's like, I really want to be an Olympian. And I didn't know that the Paralympics existed at the time because it wasn't shown. We found out where trials were going to be for the Paralympics. And so I went at the age of 15, very, very young, the youngest member for the track and field at that time. And I medaled in the 100 and the 200. I knew it was going to be like my destiny, being on that medal stand.
I came here academically freshman year. I knew I wanted to walk on the team, so it's really hard to get a hold of like a college coach. So I tried here and there, but there was this email sent out through Ohio University saying that there was this like block party. You can meet the men's and women's basketball team. And so I met you could meet them. And then it was kind of like there was this 3-point contest. And I knew, I was like, I just need a ball, a hoop, and the head coach on the women's team to, get my foot in the door. So I entered this contest with 40 guys in it, made it all the way to the championship, lost by 1. And that kind of started the process, I guess, and landed a spot in Coach Bob's office, and sophomore year rolls around and I'm on the team.
I didn't really look at a lot of colleges. I wanted to go to UNCG, and they were well known for their girls athletics, and ended up at Wake Forest. And when I got to Wake, I went to Wake to start a golf team. Of course, I took golf as my PE elective and went to Marge Crisp and said, hey, I'd like to start a women's team. How come we don't have a women's team? Found 4 or 5 people that were willing to give it a shot. So we had a fall season and a spring season. And then, that just led to volleyball. I was walking by the lower gym after golf practice, and it was volleyball tryouts. And I just kind of put my head in the door, and Coach Finch was there, and She said, "Are you here for volleyball tryouts?" And I said, "No, not really. I just finished golf. I just wanted to see what was going on." And she said, "Did you play volleyball in high school?" And I said, "I did." And she said, "Well, why don't you just come try out?" And I said, "Okay." And I made the team, and that led to basketball, and the rest is history.
So coming home from the Paralympics, you're told to like join a sport. And so I wanted to do track and field, obviously. And track in high school is like a non-tryout sport. And when we were gearing up for our very first competition, you get in line to get your uniform. And they said that, I wouldn't be getting one. And I was really confused. Like, I was extremely puzzled why I wouldn't be getting one. So I told my mom, when I got home, and I said, "This is like the weird thing that happened. Like, we have a competition coming up. Like, I don't understand." So she called the school system, tried to talk to them, said, "Come on, like, it's just like a uniform. Let her wear it and then go to this track meet that was coming up." It was hard going to that track meet because they stopped the entire track meet, had me run around, and then they continued the track meet, right? A lot of things were missed. And people couldn't see, my full potential. And as, the school year went on, I just really realized, the discrimination that was coming, and how I wasn't allowed to be participating. And so after going back and forth through the school system and really trying to figure this out, the last resort was to sue. And we sued for no money. We sued for equal opportunity for people with disabilities to participate in high school sports. I think what was the hardest was people didn't understand why I was doing it. Luckily, the judge was on our side when we went through the legal battle in Howard County, then within the state of Maryland, and we won.
The 1975 volleyball team was just honored at Wake for our 50th anniversary. We still hold the winningest record in women's volleyball, 31-9, 50 years later. The highest winning percentage, 50 years later. So volleyball and basketball played in the same uniform. We didn't have anybody washing our stuff. We'd try to wash our shirts out in the sink, if we had a sink, and hope that they would be dry before we needed to put them back on. When I was at Wake, we weren't allowed in the training room. Coach Finch was able to go down and get one roll of tape a week. One roll of tape. 7 days worth of practices and 4 or 5 games in that week with one roll of tape. We had one water bottle, and you've got trainers and hydration and all of that. That we didn't have any of that. We didn't know we were missing anything.
I think people say when women's sports teams start winning or start bringing in fans, then we'll give them funding. But it's kind of circular reasoning because it's hard to win if you don't have the resources and the funding that teams that are successful have.
Well, there's a good amount of differences between how we're treated just in the training room. How we share with football, actually, like whenever we're getting treatment and things. So sometimes it almost feels like we need to get out so they can have their tables. Various things like that, whether it's field hockey and track, not having parking at our own field. That's a big one.
Having that medal around my neck and then looking out into the stadium, thing that I noticed when I looked out into the stadium was that there wasn't any crowds. There wasn't a really big support or movement around the Paralympics. And I always thought, why? Why was there not such a big movement? And, when I went back home, people didn't even realize that I left, for the Paralympics. Oftentimes, it's people get confused between, the Special Olympics and then the Paralympics. Paralympics, it's parallel to the Olympics. same uniforms, same venues. Well, we actually fought for the uniforms and the venues of previous athletes. And the athletes today, we fought for equal pay, which we received much later. That was at the Tokyo Paralympic Games in 2020. So that was a long time coming since I started in 2004 to get equal pay. When I raced all those Paralympics in between, from Athens to Beijing to London to Rio to Sochi, I didn't receive equal pay for my medals, and a gold medal was worth $7,000.
I was always told you can't because you're a girl. So I had a real chip on my shoulder about guys telling me I couldn't.
I was always the loudest one on the court. If you look back at videos of my team playing, I'm always the one that's like frailing my arms around, jumping around, just doing the absolute most. But I think that's why I fell in love with volleyball so much, is because my team, even though they didn't do that, like they never made me feel weird for doing that, so I could just express myself and have fun. And I think that that's something that is so special about women's sports, is that you can express yourself.
I'm an outgoing person, so sometimes like the way I maybe celebrate or carry myself can come off as a lot to some people. And at the end of the day, I just have to tell myself I'm just being me. And like I always remind myself like not to change that, because to some people that may not be like their cup of tea, but at the end of the day, I'm just being me.
People are very quick to tear apart a woman's game the second that she does any kind of celebration that's not just clapping. Like, I think people are looking for a reason to be like, oh, she's cocky, why is she acting like that? Obviously, my TikTok has a lot of women's sports, and there's always so many comments that's like, she's so cocky, who gave her the confidence to act like this? And I just think it's so interesting because when men celebrate, everyone's just, oh, that's tough, that's awesome. And I don't really understand it. When you cheer and you get loud, whatever, you play better. Like, the cheering actually helps the physical aspect, but also that's part of the fun of a game. Like, can you imagine going to a sports game and just watching and not cheering the whole time? Like, no one wants to play a sport and be silent the whole time.
Honestly, like, you just have to really, like, tell yourself, like, I do not care what people think. I'm just going to do me and be the best version of myself because I only have a certain amount of time to play the game that I love. And after that, it's done.
Even when you are having, like, those hard games, they're, like, hard days where you don't want to go to practice, you get to see your friends at the end of the day.
Even just, like, little moments in the locker room, getting ready for the game, and, like, celebrations. We always watch film, and a lot of times we'll point out, like, oh, look at Gentry celebrating in the back. Like, that's so cute. And I think that's just one of my favorite parts about being on a team. It's just, like, the little moments that have nothing to do with, like, actually competing.
If I'm just like not doing the best, if I miss a ball or something, it's just more of like, you got this, you got the next one, you're doing fine, keep your head up, that sort of aspect. So I would say very encouraging and a loving team as well.
I mean, they're like sisters to me, so they know how I feel. You know, they understand like what you might be going through at the time and know how to like help you or push you at that moment. It's this like tiny community that not a lot of people are in. It's just special. I mean, it's just literally you and your girls.
When I entered in college at University of Illinois and really like started marathoning there, I really sort of built like a sisterhood there. I had a really great bond like with Chelsea and Amanda, especially with Amanda like in marathoning, but Chelsea and I and Amanda in the 1500 and the 5K, where we worked together as Team USA to get 1, 2, and 3. And no one has ever done that in the history of the sport. So that was really cool. But that took a lot of trust. That took a lot of communication.
Just being girls, like whether that's we're all sitting in the locker room and everyone's braiding each other's hair or helping each other with makeup or making TikTok dances together.
Instead of like criticizing when you don't get it, they cheer for you when you do get it. And I think that that's just something that is so important. I feel like There's such an image portrayed, especially about skaters, about like being tiny, about being skinny. You know, like you internalize that so bad, and like I'm not necessarily like the image of like slim and tiny, but like I'm healthy and I'm freaking fit, and that's what matters. And I think for a while I didn't understand that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel like a fraud in this makeup and these dresses. Well, yeah, you know, like part of performing is putting on that makeup, part of performing is putting on that costume. There's no right way to wear it, and there's no right way to look in it. And people who are like, oh, like in order for this jump to work you need to be tinier, for this spin to work you need to be tinier, like that's bullshit.
People are trying to like almost separate that, right? Like you need to be in one box or like the other. Female athletes can be both. Like we could be strong and we can be ladylike. I always like to say that I have like an alter ego. You know, when I'm out racing and onto the track, I am like full beast mode, all about athleticism, strength, power. And then when I'm off the roads of marathons and off the track and not in the gym, I love to dress up, like going to the SBs and like dressing up, and because it's fun to do that, and because we can do that, and you can feel beautiful in both.
I like doing my nails, getting it done. I feel like my nails are kind of like what brings like my style on the court. Or my shoes. I feel like my shoes are like kind of like a little like style statement.
For me, I do a slick back every game, and like sometimes I'll do a mascara, but it's more like look good, feel good, play good. It makes me feel ready before I ever step on the court.
When I was at spring break in Fort Lauderdale, usually you see people with the NBA jerseys on, like that's like the casual guy wear. NBA jersey, college jersey with the guy's name on it with swim trunks. Now I'm seeing Caitlin Clark jerseys, women's jerseys, WNBA jerseys with some trunks. It's not only like fans watching, but more of like a fashion statement.
So if little Tatyana was telling big Tatyana something today, she would say, wow, you're doing an amazing job. Like, you're doing it, and keep going.
I've been wanting to play volleyball in college since I was like 8, and I remember going to Louisville volleyball games and having them sign my t-shirt and stuff, and my mom would say like, this could be you one day. And then it was after we played Miami, there was like a whole team of younger girls that played volleyball, and they were all coming up to us like, can you sign my ball, can you sign my t-shirt? It was very surreal. I was like, I've dreamed of this for so long, and it's actually happening. I think she'd be really proud.
The fact that it didn't all come easy to me and I'm still doing it is like worth more.
We want people to not only to get involved with the sport, but like to really talk about how can female athletes get involved with the sport and how we can make that grow. I also have my own foundation that I created because I want to give back to the youth. Through my foundation, I've donated over $100,000 for junior athletes to get to competition. So it's a competition grant. And my goal is to have that all the way through LA, because I want there to be growth around the sport, and I want more females, you know.
It's awesome to be able to inspire like other young girls to also want to be like an athlete in the future. And it's cool to be able to be on a team that like wants to do that, whether it's like us running clinics and stuff like that.
I was just a kid like them in the stands, you know, wanting to be a D1 athlete. And I think when I became a D1 athlete, you know, I'm not only representing OU, but I'm also like representing myself, hopefully inspiring like younger female athletes or young guys in the stands.
It's been an interesting journey, but I think each step of the journey prepared me for the next.
I think it's getting there, but I do still think that there's room to grow.
Although sometimes we may not be getting like the support in certain ways as much as we wish, I would say we've definitely come a long way.
We still have a long way to go, right? I still want to see more advertisements, not only for females, but for Paralympians too.
So for me, it's exciting to see how women's sports overall have grown over the last 50 years.
Women have come together through across all sports and rallying, you know, together and saying like, women's sports is really amazing, and it's our time is now, and we want to show our sport. We want to show what we do.
any little girls out there that are playing sports, just do what you feel. Don't dim yourself down. Take up space, because it's so much more fun when you do.
Lim for three, and it's good. Bang time.
And a new world record of 45.52 seconds for the United States.
Shooting 47% from the floor, that'll